filter in. We're pretty much just going to be chatting while I get ready for work. I know a couple of y'all said that you did not want to see me do my makeup anymore. Well, sometimes that's the only time I have to talk. I try to stay pretty busy. And then I've had a couple of you ask me to do a couple of these videos because they enjoyed just standing and talking. They said it was a lot less stress on them. So I've been trying to go around and watch these videos that people have labeled Summer Wells fuckery in Tennessee, and I just don't understand what the point is there. I don't understand what they're trying to say. And if they're trying to say that Summer has been found, that is just flat out untrue. They are spreading misinformation that is actually keeping people from searching for Summer. And it's really aggravating when they do that. I checked, and there is still an active Amber Alert for her through the National Missing and Exploited Children's Center. After Cleo Smith was found, I promise you, had Summer been found under any circumstances and it be an election year, we would have done heard from the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department and the TBI. For some reason, this misinformation has been going around since Don went to jail. And they released him on that OR bond. Well, we don't know what Ronnie Lawson said to him. But you know that he had a talk with him, or he wouldn't have been standing there waiting on him. I also overheard something about the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department and Ronnie Lawson wanting Candace to take another lie detector test. Maybe we have applied enough pressure that this is true. And these people are trying real hard to stop anything that has to do with Summer being found. They want this reward money really bad. You have Cher over on Voices Behind the Wall pretty much saying, yeah, they can use the reward fund as ransom. We can buy her back. They are trying to set up a situation to where Don and Candace gets that money before they go to jail, and we can't let them do that. We absolutely cannot let that happen. I don't know. What I do know is they both failed, or all three failed, the part of the lie detector test for having guilty knowledge. That I do know. Every time they've took it, they have failed for having at least guilty knowledge. Now, I've started with a clean surface on my face. And because I am over 40, I have a lot of steps that I do here to try and hide my pain. Especially around my eye area. This is just a little face primer. Actually, Dawn may like this. It's called Spackle. It's supposed to kind of make the lines and wrinkles less noticeable. But anyway, back to Summer. Why is Cher over there trying to set up the situation for us to buy back, or for Candace to go and buy back? Summer. Or putting out there that we should pay Candace for information for Summer. This is how low down these people have started to become. They know they're about to get caught, so they're going to profit, or try to profit off of it. I'm in between two theories of this whole thing being a scam and the theory that I have put out there that Hunter actually come home. And I put this theory out before. You can go back and look. I put this theory out before Don said anything to Doug at no thanks. I think that, and here is my theory. I'll just put it out there if you want to talk theories today. That Grandma didn't go to the ER or the doctor's office. However, they did go fill a prescription for her. It's been rumored that the prescription was for fentanyl and oxycodone. I don't know that to be fact. That's just what I have heard. Hunter, well, first, Grandma was either at home or she stayed at Allie's when Hunter was picked up. When they all went to the swimming hole. Candace showed TBI pictures of even the boys swimming that day. That's concerning. So we don't know exactly who all was at the horse pond. But my theory is Hunter went back to the house with her. For one, she threw out there too quick. Way too quick. And Hunter did not go home with me. Yes, he did. I believe he did. And then I believe that they called the dope man to start making trades with Grandma's medicine. They're going to trade her pills for whatever heroin, meth, weed, whatever they're doing for the day. So you have got Candace and Hunter at the Wells property. And the drugs are delivered by red vehicle. I believe that vehicle made a drop and left. I don't think the vehicle has anything to do with this. I really don't. Um, she said plenty of times, Candace did, that the boys could go down to the creek into that old shed area by themselves. And Summer could go with them so long as they had their pocket knives and their two-way radios. The two-way radios is so they can keep in touch with their mom while they're down there, their dad, or whatever. I believe Summer had already been drugged so she wouldn't tell Dawn that Hunter was with Candace. So I think by the time they were all sent outside to play, that Summer was already pretty messed up. And this is all just in my opinion. I do not have facts to back it up. This is a theory. I believe they got to play in hide and seek down there. I think that Summer hid in that old hunting blind, that duck blind, whatever they called it, that thing that had the cotton top dropped over it. And if you will go back at the pictures that they released to show that the property had been worked on and how much better the property looked, that hunting blind is no longer there. It's not down there by the shed anymore. It has been removed. There's a reason why it's been removed. Because I believe that there was evidence in it. Or on it. You know, that thing was, what, 6-7 feet off the ground? And I think it was either old and cracked, and she fell through, or she just fell off of it, or out of it, hiding from her brothers. Why is that duck blind or that hunting blind the only thing missing from down there at the creek? I believe then they got a hold of Candace and Hunter off the two-way radios. And told them that there had been an accident and Summer was hurt. The first place that she went, and in her statement it says that no neighbors were outside or anything, that when she did go to get help, she had to go to the neighbor's house. So let's just get that out the way real quick. So I think they went down there and they found her either very badly injured or very, very, very injured. Panic ensues. I think she started screaming at the boys. And this may be what Jody Sue's kids heard, because the kids tell a different story than Jody Sue. The kids said that it sounded like children playing, blah, blah, blah. I think her and Hunter went back to the house. Hunter got in a vehicle and she got in a vehicle. I think Jody Sue helped load the body. And I think that she was took to 125 Ben Hill Road. Or 5600 Lone Star Road. I found where Jody Sue and her husband own more property down on Lone Star Road. Why hasn't this been mentioned? And they may not have moved her until Don got there, so Don could look at her. But Andy shows up at the same time, Jody Sue's husband. So I can put them all down there at that creek together. I strongly believe that, dead or alive, that she was took to 125 Ben Hill Road or 5600 Lone Star Road until the police were out of there. Now, the picture, they say, was taken on Lone Star Road. And that is of her on the milk. I think that was just a... I'm not sure how that plays in yet. But I know that picture was taken on Lone Star Road. How far from Jody Sue's property at the 5600 Lone Star Road? I don't know. I said all this is in my opinion. And that's if an accident happened. And it's still feasible if she was sold, if she was traded. Because Andy does have those charges. And he does drive a red truck. Imagine that. Jody Sue's boyfriend or whatever driving the red truck. Pretty crazy stuff there. But we know that that was not Grandis in the truck talking when that video of Summer was made of her sleeping on the milk. So it was one of two people. It was either Hunter in that truck with her, and she had to get him home, and maybe that's where they first met up with Dawn. I'm not sure, but I do know that I'm on to something here. Because why hasn't this other property not been mentioned? That they own. Here in a little bit, I'm also going to dump some pictures to where somebody's been having this property evaluated every couple of months. It was evaluated, and this is all the properties. Don's property, Jody Sue's property, and the property at 5600 Lone Star Road. And Don's 11 acres is worth more because of the upgrades that they have been doing. It was already worth more than Jody Sue's property before they started with the add-ons and stuff. But somebody checked in July, on July the 8th, the property value of all three of these properties. And somebody checked again in October. Cookie, stop. That's my doggy. Why all the concern over how much this property's worth? Any of the properties. I don't get that. What's Don and Candace planning on doing with this property after it gets fixed up? Do we know? Is that when Summer will come home? Is when the drug debt is paid with the property? And after all of our donations has fixed up that house? How much money does Don owe you and Andy, Jody Sue? How much will it cost to get Summer back? I'm just asking. Because I do feel that you have involvement. And I'm talking directly to you. She says that she could not hardly walk that day, that her kids was having to hold her up and walk her around. But then all of a sudden, she can jump up and she can walk these creek banks. She can walk in the water. She's Superwoman. So she goes from completely down and out to Superwoman. I don't buy this. I think it's all a crock. Either way, dead or alive, I feel that Jody Sue helped hide the body, at least, if not dispose of the body, and her husband Andy, or her husband Andy, boyfriend, whatever, baby daddy. So that's kind of my two theories. The drug debt that's owed, or an accident. And either way, there's more people involved than just Don and Candace. Now, I'm done giving money. At this point, since there is talk about paying Candace to go to the police, or paying Candace to pay the ransom to go get her, whatever the situation is, I'm done giving money. I'm done buying things. I'm not going to play this anymore. At this point, I agree with Benny that it needs to be capped right here. That way, whoever has her knows that they're not getting a penny more than what is in that fund right now. Y'all can say I'm wrong for that. But at this point, there's too much evidence, I believe, that this is all just set up for money. So if we cap it and say, okay, nothing else is coming in, this is it. This is all that this fund will ever be worth. And you only got a few months to use it or get it, or it's going to the Child Advocacy Center or wherever. Maybe somebody will go ahead and talk. But if we keep putting money in that thing every few days, if somebody does have summer, they're just going to sit and see how high that reward fund goes at this point. And so I'm done playing that. I am so done. And you should be too. Now, I don't think there's been any wrongdoing behind any of this money raising, people raising the money. I don't think the funds have been misused. Blah, blah, blah. But I'm just done giving. I've still not been able to find out any more about whether we have creators running around acting like they're FBI or police officers. And I hope that none of that is true. And I'm not reading chat. I'm not doing any of that because like I said, I'm getting ready to go to work. Go pay my bills and stuff. And Cher, let me tell y'all, Cher's acting because night before last, I caught her on a live. And they knew, and they had people telling them, and I recorded some of this live, that yes, Don did know that Chris Madonna was going to be on Doug's live. Well, this one girl, no matter what anybody told her, and Cher was there, no matter what anybody told her, she was insistent on starting trouble. That no, Don did not know. Yes, he did. And Cher was right there involved with it. Every time I run across one of these videos to where they're planning to attack somebody in the last few days, Cher's been there. And I can prove that. So I don't know what Cher is trying to do. I really don't. Other than she's crazy. She needs to back off that crazy train. I laughed so hard this morning at Self-Made Mom's video. I thought that was so funny. It's one of the best ones yet that she's done. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to read the comments. And I want y'all to really tell me if y'all think that maybe Hunter was there and where Grandma was. And why that hunting blind has been tore down, why that's the only thing missing down there. Well, my theory has been this whole time about those two-way radios. Because those boys, it's been said 100 times that they were yelling, "It's not my fault, it's not my fault." If she fell, it wouldn't have been their fault. And never, ever, ever, ever should the responsibility of one of your children being hurt be put on the other children, especially when you're sitting in the house getting high or sleeping with somebody. Oh, and you remember Hunter saying something about he knew, this was going back to his interview with Chris Madonna, and he told Chris off camera that somebody had an appointment with their probation officer that day, and that's how he knew that Don wasn't at work. Well, now that we know that he is on probation, that's even a possibility. That opens up a whole new... And can they not check to see if Don was at his probation officer's that day? Because if he wasn't at work, that's not good. It's not good. Sorry, I'll start talking again in just a second. I'm just trying to match up to what I'm wearing here. Yellows and greens are hard. And then the theory of, what if she's just being hid from CPS? And that seems to be what everybody's thinking. And that Grandis saved her. If Grandis was going to save her, she would have done it a long time ago, not wait until it's time for DHR or CPS. We call them DHR here, where I'm from. Department of Human Resources. Where would she be being hid at? I have a name, and I have a name for somebody in Indiana, but I don't have that program to check out people anymore. Mine expired and it's really expensive. I don't like that being verified because the information is not accurate. The information is old and it's just not a good program. But what was a 5-year-old doing with a Facebook? A 5-year-old that can't read, that can't write, that they never even taught to dial 911. And that was Don's own words. I'll go back and check those comments that just popped up. I'll be done in just a second, guys, with this part. Alright, done with that part. And I know I'm probably just rambling, but all these thoughts do go together. They do run together. Especially about Jody, Sue, and Andy. Oh man, I just get bad vibes off of that. Something's not right there with that whole situation. And no, these are not different cigarettes. This is the same one that I keep putting out and going back and lighting. No kids are in my house. And that's just what I do sometimes. Let's see here. Everybody put a 1 in chat if you think maybe Jody, Sue, and Andy did have something to do with this. Whether they helped or if this is a drug debt. Put a 2 if you don't think Jody, Sue, or Andy had anything at all to do with it. Either from helping or the drug debt. Just keep in mind that she wants that property really bad. Bad enough to throw kids off of cliffs. And this whole time, it has been a push for GoFundMe's to fix that house up and people to help fix that house up. The more it's fixed up, the higher the property evaluations go. And Summer's room, that dungeon down there, those are not toys and stuff that they've went and bought. If y'all look, all those toys come from the prayer garden out there at Mount Carmel Church. The teddy bears and stuff is what was left out there. The wreath that's hanging on the door come from there too. Go back and look. Now, put a 1 in the chat if you think maybe I'm right about Hunter being with her that day. Put a 2 if you don't think. Hunter was with her that day. Oh, now I agree. The house needs fixed up if they plan on ever trying to get these children back. But what I'm wondering is if they plan on getting the kids back and are trying to. Selling or giving away that property, whatever, and taking off for Utah. If they can escape jail. And they need this reward fund that up for moving expenses and stuff. How many of y'all think that they have more than one telephone system? That they have one set of phones for business and one set of phones for personal use? And I ask this because I know I heard somebody in that car when he got pulled over. So that means, and we know that there was nobody in the car with him. So that means he was talking to somebody other than Doug. And that would have been on a different phone. And this may be why law enforcement has not found anything on the phones that they took, because they didn't give them the right telephones to check. Now, how many think that Don has no involvement up until the point of Candace calling him? Like, he didn't have anything to do with her coming up, getting gone, but he may have helped dispose or took her somewhere else. Let's see, let me find a better way to word that. If you think that he was a probation officer, if I might be right about that, put a 1 in the chat. Because Hunter does say something in his interview to Chris McDonough about somebody having to go see their probation officer that day. How many think that Don and Candace thinks if they already have that house fixed up, when Summer reappears, if they're just going to give Summer back to them because of her tragedy? Like in their mind, that if this house is fixed up, that Summer will never have to go into foster care or hospital care or anything like that. In their minds, that they think that she'll just automatically be returned. I do too. If Summer's found, I think she's going to be found just walking back up the road to the house. Or at a store close by the house. She's just going to appear somewhere. How many think that when she shows back up, she's just going to appear somewhere? Sorry, I couldn't talk and do lipstick at the same time, guys. Now, how many think that this is a drug debt to somebody? Or if this is just, yeah, let's do, first we're going to do drug debt. How many people think that it's drug debt? 1 in the chat for drug debt, 2 for no. Okay, 1 in the chat for avoiding CPS. 2 for no. One in the chat for accident down there by the hunting blind. Or the stairs in the house. Hey, Fonda. In just a few words or less, right now, y'all drop in the chats in the area to where you think I might be right, or if you think I might be wrong, and in the areas that I'm thinking here. And the point behind this is like a group think, and then we will go back with the most and see what that theory looks like altogether. How many people in the chat think she's already passed? Or I may be moving too fast, so I'm not sure how many of y'all's in chat. I'll give you a couple of minutes to get caught up with me. I know I'm probably talking fast. I wasn't going to do a video at all today, but I've had people, where have you been? Where are you? And I'm really just kind of watching all this mess go down. But I did check sources on whether or not she had been found, and all the sources say no, that she's still missing. And when I say sources, I mean like calling the Department of Human Resources and they say if the Amber Alert is still active, then she's still missing. They do not know anything about her being found. The Sheriff's Department has not heard anything about her being found. And I've really been trying not to call the TBI because I know that they have just been bogged down with stupid crap. No, I'm not a neighbor or past friend at all. I live in a border state, close to where they're at, but I don't know these people. I got involved when my son was sick, and when the TV would be too loud, I would try to just put in my headphones and watch YouTube. And we did not even get an Amber Alert here, just a couple hours away. And the last couple of weeks, last few weeks of his illness was when Summer come up missing. And that's how I kind of come to get familiar with the case. And then there was just something, I don't know if it was me losing a child too, but there was just something about this child could still be alive somewhere. And she's out there by herself. And it bothered me. And it bothered me enough to try to get involved to find her. I used to be an EMT and worked search and rescue. So I've actually been boots on the ground looking for these kids before. Thank you. And I'll be honest with you guys, I lost my son due to drugs. And seeing these people do this around their kids just burnt me up. But whatever they're putting in the drugs messed his heart up real bad, and he stayed sick from like December to July, and his heart just eventually quit putting out at all. And they said that this type of illness is getting really, really common in young people doing these drugs. So anyway, when I seen this family, and I didn't raise my kids like that. I tried to give them a good life, and he was the only one of my 3 kids that got off on drugs or anything like that. But I seen these people that didn't care or don't seem to care. I'm not going to say they don't, because in their own way, I'm sure that they do care about those kids. They just don't know how to care for them, I think. And they're never going to know how to care for them until they hit bottom enough to get sober for those kids. But anyway, it just bothered me. And it bothered me enough that I wanted to take my experience that I had in search and rescue and try to look for this little girl. Well, I tried reaching out to Don in the very beginning and let him know that I could get a group of people up there to help search. Nobody would ever contact me back. Every time I've offered assistance, I have been turned down for some reason. And that bothers me. Why the only people that can get out there and search is the PIs, the family, people attached to the family. Everybody else cannot get out there and search. You call the police department and say, can I join a search team? No, absolutely not. Can I bring people out there to search? No, absolutely not. It was meth that messed up my son's heart. So I'm not... That's why I'm so hard against that. And I feel so strongly about those kids being around that, because that's going to be another generation of kids raised in drug abuse. Their chances of abusing drugs are going to be way up, really high. Their life is practically ruined because of their mom and dad's drug use and drug abuse. And my son was 31 years old, and he did not get on drugs until he was 31 years old. It happened quick. He met a girl that was doing that, and they got to doing it together. I'm not even going to say she talked him into doing it, because he willingly done that. But the relationship and the dynamics of that relationship And I guess he felt like that's what he had to do for her to accept and love him. I don't know. But he was born with a heart defect anyway. He had a little hole in his heart when he was born, and we had it treated. And by the time he was 3, they told us that he would be fine. He could do anything else that other kids could do, blah, blah, blah. And within 4 weeks of him getting on this, his heart started shutting down. It would pump out less and less and less and less until it got below 10%, and he went into advanced cardiac heart failure. So I've had a lot to deal with. And I would give anything to have my child back. So I don't understand how they can just not cry or, well, I will say this, that his illness was so tragic and it was so hard on me, and I was the only caregiver he had for all those months, that when he first passed, I was just exhausted. But when it hit me a couple of days later, it hit me really hard. But that first night, I guess I was more in shock. The next day, I was more in shock. And almost did move around emotionless. But the few months that I had with my son back home was great. I mean, we really enjoyed being around each other. And he was clean the last few months. We got to know each other again before he passed, so I wouldn't take that time for anything. But I told him, I said, son, I said, if there's anything that me and your dad done that caused you to go and get on these drugs, I'm sorry. I said, if there's anything that I could go back and do, I would do it. And my son looked at me and he said, Mom, he said, do not blame yourself and do not blame Dad. He said, the minute I done the drugs, I loved the drugs. And he said, I loved being high. And he took full responsibility for his addictions and for what happened to him. And he told me, he said, you know, y'all done the best you could do. Y'all gave me a great life. This is not something that I learned at home. He said, this is something I learned after I was grown. But he said, once I started doing those drugs, I loved those drugs, and there was no stopping me. He said, even after they told me that it was making me sick, he said, I left the hospital and I went right back to her, and that night, I done more drugs. So I've seen firsthand what these drug addictions do to families. It does to your kids. And I deal with that every day because, you know, I live alone. And when my son moved back in with me, it put life back in the house. After the other 2 kids moved out, everything just got really quiet. It was just me and the dogs. And I mean, silence can kill you. I promise you. So when he moved back in, it put life back in the house again. There was people walking across the wood floors. You know, there was noise in the house. There was voices in the house. And then when he passed, everything went silent. Again. And that's what I'm dealing with right now. So I put all this energy into what I try to say is something productive and something good for somebody else. So instead of sitting and feeling sorry for myself, I try to stay busy. And I would love nothing more than this child to be found. And all four of these kids get treatment and therapy before they end up another generation lost from drugs. But that's kind of my story. But I have got to go to work, guys, and make a little bit of money. But I will go back over this chat and I'm going to see where maybe our theories are the strongest. I'm going to look at any theories that you guys drop down in there. Going to take the most popular ones. And then we can work on that, because usually the more people that think one thing, that's more likely that's what's making sense to people, and that's what happened. But y'all also remember that you can't make sense of anything. A drug addict does sometimes. And these people are falling apart drug addicts. I mean, look, Donald Wells went and got in the same pickup truck that had no insurance on it the night before. So you know that it had no insurance on it the day he left court. No tags, no registration. So even sober, if he was even sober that next morning, he was still making bad decisions. I think these people just make bad decisions all the time. But do not stop looking for Summer. Do not stop spreading her name. If you hear somebody out there say, oh, she's found and she's with advocates. No, she's not. Because I've called and I've checked those avenues. And I cannot think of any circumstances to where they would hide a child that's missing from the general public. The minute children are found, it's announced. Those Amber Alerts come down. I think the only way that they may have found her and might be hiding the information is if they found a body they've not been able to identify yet. So we would not even know yet whether it was her or not. And I have searched and searched and I can't find anything about a body being found anywhere in that area. So y'all, please don't stop looking for this little girl. Stay on top of it. Tell people, no, she's out there and she's lost and we need to find her. And think about what I said about capping. And I'm not a Benny Keys follower. I don't agree with many things that he says. But if you've got Cher over here advocating and trying to figure out ways for Candace to collect that reward money, we need to say, okay, we're not putting any more in this. And that tells whoever knows something, there's not going to be any more money put in here. This is the most it's ever going to be. And it's either a now or never situation. Instead of them just sitting back and going, well, it'll be higher tomorrow and it'll be higher the next day and it's going to go up more by the weekend. So, I love you guys. Like, share, comment, because that's what keeps us going. And like I said, I really didn't have a whole lot of facts to bring today. But we've made something of it. And I appreciate y'all's time just as much as you appreciate my time. I appreciate y'all coming in here and listening to me. Um, I love you guys, and I'll check with you when I get off work this evening. Bye bye.